A battlefield drowned in rain and betrayal. Lightning split the heavens as countless warriors fell beneath the storm. Among the corpses stood one man at the edge of death, abandoned by the very people he trusted. A blade wrapped in violet energy appeared through the rain. A mysterious woman stepped forward calmly and praised Qin Feng's strength, but behind those words hid a crueler intention. Qin Feng collapsed to his knees, blood pouring from fatal wounds. With trembling eyes, he asked the question tearing apart his soul. "Why betray me now?" The woman's expression turned cold. She revealed the truth without hesitation. Qin Feng was never family to her, only an adopted outsider who dared call himself her brother. Even while dying, Qin Feng remembered every sacrifice he made. He fought monsters, risked his life, and endured endless suffering for the people he loved, only to realize it all meant nothing to them. Hatred exploded from Qin Feng's broken body. With blood mixing into the rain, he swore a final curse upon the sister who betrayed him. Even death itself could not erase his resentment. Beneath a crimson sky, the final strike descended. A hero who once stood above countless battles was erased in silence, his destiny ending in betrayal. But the world itself began to tremble. Lightning ripped across the city as a mysterious figure descended from the heavens. This was no ordinary power. This was the arrival of something godlike. Qin Feng stared blankly into the rain as divine light pierced the battlefield. At that moment, he finally understood the cruel truth. All his struggles had merely paved the way for others to rise above him. Lying in the mud with his life fading away, Qin Feng refused to accept his fate. The rain washed over his blood-stained face as regret consumed his final thoughts. And deep within his heart, a single desire remained burning. If only I could start again. Qin Feng jolted awake in disbelief. The memories of betrayal, blood, and death still burned inside his mind. Yet the glowing date on his phone revealed the impossible truth. He had returned to the year 2025. Beneath the endless city lights, Qin Feng stood frozen in silence. The nightmare of his previous life was gone, and for the first time, hope quietly returned to his heart. He had truly been reborn. The moment Qin Xiaoyu appeared again, Qin Feng's eyes turned cold. In his past life, he sacrificed everything for her. But this time, things would be different. Qin Feng struck without hesitation. The sister who once manipulated and betrayed him could only stare in shock, because the weak, obedient Qin Feng she remembered no longer existed. Qin Xiaoyu collapsed to the floor in humiliation, but Qin Feng showed no sympathy as he returned every ounce of pain she once caused him. The bond between them had already shattered beyond repair. Holding sleeping pills in his hand, Qin Feng made a ruthless decision. This time, he would cast aside every burden from his previous life and use his future knowledge to climb above everyone else. A massive blue portal opened before him, like the gate to another world. Qin Feng stepped calmly into the selection hall once again, the exact place where his tragic destiny first began. In his previous life, Qin Feng chose the warrior class to protect others. That path left him weak, chained down, and eventually betrayed. But now, reborn with experience and hatred, he sought a completely different future. A golden eye erupted with divine brilliance. The hidden power known as the Eye of Judgment awakened before Qin Feng, granting him a legendary authority no ordinary player could ever obtain. Darkness twisted violently inside the portal as an unknown presence emerged. A chilling voice echoed through the hall. "Congratulations, you've obtained a hidden class." Black shadows wrapped around Qin Feng like living creatures. The hidden class had finally chosen its master, and the power sleeping within the darkness began to awaken. The authority of judgment revealed its terrifying truth. A primordial force that surpassed the laws of the universe itself now belonged to Qin Feng. Even he could hardly believe the monstrous potential he had obtained. Qin Feng calmly reached toward the glowing interface. Since his hidden class was born from darkness itself, there was only one name worthy of it: Shadow. The new players screamed in pain after their first deaths inside the game world. But Qin Feng stood silently beneath his hood, already understanding the cruel rules of this reality far better than anyone else there. A frightened party tried desperately to recruit Qin Feng. They believed experience would help them survive, but to Qin Feng, they were nothing more than amateurs who only knew how to die. Ignoring the others, Qin Feng walked alone toward the dangerous wilderness. The mysterious cloaked player immediately drew attention from everyone nearby. The blonde girl narrowed her eyes as she watched Qin Feng disappear into the distance. Something about the man called Shadow felt completely different from ordinary players. Qin Feng suddenly turned his head slightly beneath the hood. The killing intent hidden in his golden eyes instantly sent chills down their spines. He had already noticed them following him. The group froze in panic behind the wall. Their breathing stopped as fear spread across their faces. They had been discovered. Without warning, dark blue flames burst onto the ground. The strange shadow energy twisted violently in silence, carrying an ominous aura that made the surrounding forest feel colder than death itself. The frightened players believed the beginner town was a safe haven, but Qin Feng already knew the cruel truth of the Forsaken game. Safety would never make anyone stronger. Wrapped in shadows and rain, Qin Feng stepped deeper into the dark forest alone. While everyone else searched for shelter, he was already hunting for power. Qin Feng immediately invested every attribute point into agility. In the early stages of the game, speed meant survival. One mistake against a monster was enough to lose years of lifespan forever. Suddenly, low growls echoed between the trees. Something dangerous was hiding in the darkness, watching him. Qin Feng instantly recognized the blood-red creature before him. Crawler. The same monster that had already slaughtered an entire four-man team. Dark blue shadow energy exploded around Qin Feng's body. Like a phantom slipping through death itself, he vanished from the crawler's sight in an instant. The crawler froze in confusion as the shadow aura disappeared overhead. For a brief second, the monster completely lost track of its prey. A single strike ended the battle instantly. Qin Feng's hidden class skill activated perfectly, dealing massive critical damage before the monster could even react. Golden lifespan energy poured into Qin Feng's hands after the kill. Inside the Forsaken game, lifespan was more valuable than money, power, or even human lives. As the mysterious golden light surrounded him, another unbelievable reward appeared before Qin Feng. Infinite evolution. A terrifying talent capable of pushing his power beyond all limits. The players watching from behind the trees misunderstood everything. To them, Qin Feng looked like a fearless expert dominating monsters with ease. But they had no idea. He was surviving only because he remembered the future. Qin Feng quietly muttered the monster's true name: Nurturer, a bronze-ranked creature capable of spawning endless smaller spiders to overwhelm its prey. The moment the gigantic spider revealed itself, panic spread across the group. Its terrifying body and blood-red eyes were enough to crush the courage of ordinary players instantly. Qin Feng attacked without hesitation. A precise strike pierced directly into the monster's weak point, causing massive damage before it could properly react. Purple blood exploded across the forest as the nurturer screamed in agony. Even after suffering a devastating attack, the monster still charged forward violently. The giant spider rushed straight toward Qin Feng in a berserk frenzy. Its enormous body tore through the muddy ground as it attempted to crush him instantly. Qin Feng calmly used the terrain to his advantage. By throwing stones and attacking from blind spots, he continuously triggered sneak attack bonuses while avoiding direct combat. Hidden beneath his cloak, Qin Feng patiently waited for Shadow Veil's cooldown to finish. Every second of stealth gave him another chance to land a fatal strike. Suddenly, a system-wide announcement echoed throughout Shelltown. Player Shadow had become the first level 2 player in the entire region. The ranking system had officially begun. As the glowing ranking board appeared in the sky, countless players stared upward in shock. For the first time since entering the Forsaken game, everyone remembered the name. Shadow. News of Shadow's achievement spread through Shelltown instantly. Players who were still struggling to survive couldn't believe someone had already solo cleared a boss and reached level 2 alone. Fear slowly turned into admiration. Qin Feng stared at the rewards in his hand, while rain poured from the dark sky above. With infinite evolution, even low probability effects could eventually become guaranteed outcomes. A broken talent, capable of limitless growth. Back at school, Qin Xiaoyu clenched her fists in frustration after hearing about Shadow. Even though she refused to admit it openly, she could already feel the growing gap between herself and that mysterious player. Golden light exploded around Qin Feng as a new skill activated successfully. Hand of Greed, a powerful ability capable of stealing extra rewards directly from enemies. Qin Feng immediately equipped the newly obtained corroded dagger. Grinding weak monsters one by one was far too inefficient for someone who understood the future. He needed stronger prey. Deep inside the forest, another battle had already begun. A terrifying red monster suddenly charged toward an exhausted group of players, its massive jaws ready to tear them apart. Flames erupted across the battlefield as the players desperately fought back. Even with swords, shields, and magic attacks combined, they were barely able to stop the monster's advance. The creature smashed directly through their defenses. One brutal hit was enough to send players flying as damage numbers exploded across the battlefield. Burning arrows rained from above, while the monster twisted violently in pain. The entire battlefield descended into chaos under the relentless storm of attacks. Hidden within the shadows nearby, Qin Feng silently observed the battle unfolding before him. To everyone else, this was a desperate fight for survival. But to him, this was an opportunity. The party leader quickly realized the battle was spiraling out of control. The boss monster moved far too fast, making ranged attacks nearly useless. Still, the team had no choice but to continue fighting and slowly wear it down. Hidden in the shadows, Qin Feng calmly analyzed the battlefield. Among the monsters surrounding the players, one immediately caught his attention. A level 2 polluter. A sludge-covered ranged monster capable of launching deadly surprise attacks. Before the players could react, the polluter suddenly appeared right behind one of the warriors. Its disgusting body expanded like liquid mud as it lunged forward without warning. In the next instant, a blue flash sliced through the rain. The polluter's body split apart instantly. A clean one-shot kill. The nearby players froze in shock. Even experienced fighters struggled against level 2 monsters, yet someone had just eliminated one effortlessly from the shadows. They finally realized another terrifying player was hiding nearby. Qin Feng ignored the panic around him and focused entirely on his rewards. A new assassin skill had dropped. Without hesitation, he immediately chose to evolve it further, using infinite evolution. Suddenly, the battlefield turned chaotic again. The red monster pierced directly through Wang Meng's chest, lifting him helplessly into the air. The healer desperately tried to save him, but the wound was fatal. At that exact moment, a poisonous green dart shot through the storm like lightning. The projectile pierced straight into the monster's mouth before exploding with toxic energy inside its body. The monster staggered violently as poison spread through its system. Its movements slowed for the first time since the battle began. And hidden somewhere nearby, Qin Feng silently prepared his next move. Rain continued pouring across the battlefield as fear spread among the surviving players. No one knew who was secretly assisting them from the darkness. But one thing was certain: the hunter hiding in the shadows was far more dangerous than the monsters themselves. The poisoned monster finally collapsed to the ground with a horrifying scream. Its body trembled violently before dissolving into fragments of light. Qin Feng's hidden attack had successfully stolen the kill, and just like that, he reached level 3. Standing silently beneath the storm, Qin Feng examined the results of the battle. The evolved poison dart had become far stronger than expected, especially when combined with his assassin passives and stealth abilities. Every successful hunt was rapidly increasing his strength. Wang Meng stared at the fading remains of the monster while clutching his injuries. The mysterious player had saved all of them once again. But instead of gratitude, Qin Feng only left behind a cold warning. In this world, trusting others too easily would only get you killed. Qin Feng quickly collected the battlefield loot before disappearing deeper into the forest. New equipment, evolution points, tradable lifespan. The rewards from boss monsters were already becoming absurdly valuable. And this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, the remaining players struggled desperately against endless waves of monsters. Mud-covered polluters and swift runners continued attacking from every direction. But suddenly, a terrifying new presence appeared in the forest. The atmosphere instantly changed. A gigantic humanoid creature slowly emerged from the darkness, its glowing purple eyes staring directly at the players. Fear spread through the battlefield immediately. This monster was completely different from the others. Before anyone could react, countless thorn-like attacks erupted from the ground. Several players were pierced instantly as screams echoed through the rain-soaked forest. Panic consumed the battlefield. Back in Shelltown, the surviving players were forcefully resurrected inside the safe zone. Everyone's expressions were filled with fear and exhaustion. Dying once had already cost them half their lifespan. No one wanted to experience that nightmare again. The leaderboard updated once more across the entire town, and at the very top remained only one name: Shadow, level 3, Assassin. The mysterious hunter was leaving every other player far behind. Deep within the forest, another polluter suddenly froze in terror. A glowing, poisonous dart had pierced directly through its forehead before it could even react. From the shadows, Qin Feng continued hunting alone. Golden lightning erupted around Qin Feng as he activated his evolution skill once again. Without hesitation, he poured all of his remaining evolution points into Hand of Greed. The skill instantly transformed to Emerald rank. Its loot bonus became terrifyingly powerful. Now, every monster corpse had the potential to become a treasure chest. Deep inside the forest, the cursor boss continued mutating in silence. Blue flames surrounded its massive body as strange energy flowed endlessly into it. Qin Feng immediately realized what was happening. The monster was devouring lifespan energy and evolving into a silver-grade boss. Back in Shelltown, panic and greed were spreading at the same time. Players were dying repeatedly while losing their precious lifespan. Meanwhile, wealthy survivors had already begun searching for stronger protectors. In this new world, power had become more valuable than money itself. Suddenly, a system message appeared above the town square. Qin Feng had opened a temporary marketplace to sell skill books and equipment. The mysterious top-ranked player, Shadow, had finally revealed himself publicly. And within seconds, the entire town exploded into chaos. One woman calmly stepped forward through the crowd. Her face was partially blurred by the system, but her presence alone attracted everyone's attention. She immediately offered 100 tradable lifespan days without hesitation. Qin Feng recognized her instantly. Grey Rose, one of the strongest future players of Shelltown. Grey Rose silently contacted her teammates before making her final decision. Her group had already benefited greatly from Qin Feng's guidance and information. To them, supporting Shadow was worth any price, especially if it increased their chances of survival. Then another woman suddenly pushed through the crowd arrogantly. Jiang Li, daughter of a wealthy chairman and future leader of a criminal syndicate. She offered 10 million cash just to be carried to level 3. The surrounding players were completely stunned by her confidence and wealth. But Qin Feng remained completely indifferent. He already knew exactly what kind of person Jiang Li would become in the future. To him, her money was worthless. Jiang Li's expression instantly darkened after being rejected publicly. Used to getting everything she wanted, she immediately began threatening Qin Feng. But the moment Qin Feng raised his glowing eyes toward her, the entire atmosphere changed. Qin Feng's killing intent silently spread across the square. Even Zhang Li instinctively froze under his terrifying gaze. For the first time since entering this world, someone had dared to challenge the hunter standing at the top. One by one, every item in Qin Feng's temporary market was completely sold out. His tradable lifespan increased rapidly as players rushed to buy equipment and skill books. Across the square, cheers erupted from excited survivors who had finally grown stronger. Meanwhile, Qin Feng quietly disappeared from the crowd once again. Zhang Li stormed through the streets in frustration and humiliation. Being rejected publicly by Shadow had completely shattered her pride. In her mind, no one had the right to refuse her offer, and the hatred growing inside her only became stronger. Unable to find Shadow again, Zhang Li immediately lowered her standards. She offered another player $500,000 just to help her reach level 3. The warrior accepted without hesitation. To ordinary players, that amount of money was life-changing, but they had no idea why Shadow refused it so easily. Far away from the town, Qin Feng silently descended back into the cursed battlefield. Dark energy swirled around his body as rain continued pouring from the sky. His target remained the same: kill the evolving boss before it could fully transform. Qin Feng raised his poison dagger and attacked without hesitation. A massive damage number instantly exploded above the boss's body. The evolved poison damage was far stronger than before. But Qin Feng knew this alone would never be enough. Suddenly, the silver-grade boss unleashed terrifying purple energy into the sky. The entire forest trembled as violent shockwaves erupted around its body. Its evolution was nearly complete, and its strength had already surpassed the bronze rank completely. Purple lightning crashed endlessly across the battlefield. The monster's attacks became faster, wider, and far more destructive than before. Even Qin Feng was forced to retreat immediately after each strike. One mistake now would mean instant death. Qin Feng calmly analyzed the boss's attack patterns while hiding within the shadows. He patiently waited for the exact moment the monster exposed its weak point. This battle was no longer about raw damage. It had become a fight of precision and timing. The moment the boss became vulnerable, Qin Feng instantly moved. His body flashed through the rain like a ghost before his poisoned blade pierced straight into the creature's core. A devastating critical hit exploded across the battlefield. Shadow Strike landed perfectly. Green poison burst violently from the monster's body as the critical damage shattered its defenses. The silver-grade boss let out a horrifying scream that echoed throughout the forest. And for the first time since evolving, the creature finally showed fear. Qin Feng watched silently as the silver-rank monster collapsed to the ground. Instead of resisting until its final breath, the creature finally accepted defeat. Moments later, system notifications exploded before his eyes. He had reached level 5, and the rewards were even greater than he expected. Golden light surrounded Qin Feng as his strength rose dramatically once again. Defeating the evolved boss granted massive experience and valuable evolution points. But while celebrating internally, Qin Feng quickly noticed another problem. His inventory was already reaching its limit. Rare loot floated around the battlefield like glowing spirits. Qin Feng calmly examined every item while rain continued falling around him. Returning to town after every hunt would waste too much time. He needed a better solution soon. Back inside town, players stared at the updated leaderboard in complete disbelief. Shadow had already reached level 5 far ahead of everyone else. The gap between him and ordinary players was becoming terrifyingly large, and rumors about the mysterious assassin spread even faster. Some players admired Shadow like a legendary hero. Others became jealous, frustrated, or desperate to get his attention. But no matter what they said, no one truly understood how dangerous the battles he fought actually were. Blue teleportation lights suddenly surrounded the surviving players as they finally returned to reality. Everyone looked exhausted after barely surviving the deadly game world. For many of them, the experience still felt unreal. But the fear in their eyes proved otherwise. Wang Meng's teammates rushed toward him in panic after seeing his weakened condition. His body had nearly become transparent due to lifespan exhaustion. Even experienced officers were shocked by how close he came to death. And during their conversation, one name continued appearing repeatedly. Shadow. Wang Meng explained everything that happened inside the Forsaken game. When Shadow saved them, he was only level 3. Yet before anyone else could catch up, he had already reached level 5. The officers immediately realized something terrifying. A monster-like player had appeared far earlier than expected. Inside the emergency command room, officials began discussing the growing global crisis. The Forsaken game was no longer just an isolated incident. Humanity needed organized military teams, intelligence networks, and professional players immediately, because this nightmare had only just begun. As tension filled the conference room, the leaders reached one final conclusion. Special vanguard units would soon be formed to explore the deadly game world. Every nation was beginning to prepare for war, and somewhere in the darkness, Shadow was already far ahead of them all. The entire world had begun treating the Forsaken game as a global emergency. Every nation was desperately gathering information and building stronger teams before their rivals gained an advantage, because whoever controlled the game first could control the future itself. During the emergency meeting, the officials finally decided on their next target, the mysterious player known as Shadow. Based on Wang Meng's report, Shadow wasn't cruel or unstable like most powerful players, which meant there was still a chance to approach him peacefully. And for that mission, they selected Yu. Meanwhile, Yu sat alone in her room, staring at her phone with growing frustration. Normally, Qinfeng would rush over whenever she got angry, but this time, he completely ignored her. The more she thought about it, the stranger his recent behavior became. Suddenly, Yu realized something important. If sleeping was the way to enter the Forsaken game, then Qinfeng had to be inside it right now. Her cheeks flushed slightly as excitement replaced her anger. At last, she had found a way to track him down herself. Without hesitation, Yu jumped into bed and prepared to enter the mysterious world. She still felt annoyed at Qinfeng for ignoring her, but deep inside, curiosity had already taken over completely. Back inside the ruined battlefield, Qinfeng carefully stared at the glowing loot before him. Among the rewards, one item immediately caught his attention, a powerful silver-rank assassin skill, and without wasting another second, he chose to learn it instantly. The new ability, Shadow Flash, perfectly matched Qinfeng's fighting style. It combined mobility, stealth, and devastating assassination power, all in one technique. For an assassin-class player, this skill was incredibly valuable, and Qinfeng knew exactly how dangerous it could become after upgrading it further. Golden energy surged violently around Qinfeng as he spent multiple evolution points upgrading the skill. Silver became gold. Gold evolved into platinum. The range, speed, and lethality of Shadow Flash all increased dramatically. His power was growing at an unbelievable rate. Qinfeng activated the upgraded Shadow Flash for the very first time. In an instant, blue slashes tore across the battlefield like lightning. The monsters nearby were shredded before they could even react. It was no longer just a stealth skill. It had become a terrifying massacre technique. After the battle ended, Qinfeng calmly reviewed his remaining lifespan. He now possessed over 600 days of tradable lifespan, but even that wasn't enough yet. To bring powerful skills and equipment back into reality, he would need far more time remaining. And that meant only one thing. He had to keep hunting.